It took just about 30 minutes to completely deoxidize this side, but look how much better it looks. Welcome back to another Jeff Reviews for you. And as you saw, yep, we're gonna remove the oxidation off of this paint. I actually wanna wax this because wax will actually protect it, but before I wax it, I'm gonna be utilizing this Meguiar's one-step compound to remove the oxidation. Now, it is the morning, so the sun is right here, so I need to move relatively quick because you don't want to have this sit on and bake into your paint. Also, I should note that I am using an orbital buffer, and I do have like an old undershirt that I'm going to use to wipe off the product right afterward. I plan on working in very small sections, putting on the product, buffing, and then wiping it off. Let's get started. To prep for this, I've completely washed with soap and water the entire camper, and so now I have a clean, smooth surface. You want to do that because you don't want to tear up your buffing pad. Also, you want to make sure you have the best possible surface to get started. I'm going to be using a medium coarse pad, and I'm just going to put the stuff on just like that. I might try different things as I go. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna get this all over the place and just start in this little area. I wanna work it in. I really wanna make sure I get that in really nice. I'm not gonna do any editing out of the process. I'm gonna show you how quick it actually works. I go back and forth in a small area, and after I go through the entire space, then I go around it like in a square. It's important to try to really work in the solution onto the paint to let it do its job. However, it doesn't take very long. Just take your time, go back and forth, making sure the solution is able to do its job. Once you get it in where you think that's probably good enough, you can take your cloth, like I said, I'm just using an old undershirt, and wiping that off, and I can already see how shiny that is underneath that oxidation. I don't know if you can tell, but right here is where we just treated, and above and all around is still oxidized, and wow, does that look amazing. I can actually see myself in there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna continue working on the back of this entire camper, and this is like the first step. Then I'm gonna have to come back and wax it, because all I'm doing right now is removing that oxidation, but I still have to protect the paint. But you can see how awesome it looks afterward. We're moving through about half of the back, and you can actually really see the difference between where I have treated and have not. Right there, I split between the T and the E. Check out how foggy and oxidized that is. And this side is really, really shiny. I brought you here because I wanted to make sure you realize you can do this right over top of the decals, and that actually helps protect them too. I'm also trying to treat all the different lights as I go along the way as well. After I washed this, I actually ended up washing this twice because these streaks were just here and I couldn't get them to go out. But you know what? This Meguiar's one-step compound actually removes all of this streaking as well. Now you see it. Dab the solution all over, making sure to try to get an even coverage, and start the process. What you can't see from that angle is those stains are all but gone. I'm gonna go over this a few more times and wipe it off. Now for the final reveal. The sun's starting to bake down, so it's getting harder and harder to wipe this off. That's why I say try not working in the sun if you can. Takes a little more elbow grease here, but check out the final product. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. It's by far most challenging to work behind the ladder, so what I do is I end up folding the arm in and holding it from the side, just working in very small increments. That way I can get the whole area. Once I finish that small little area, I get out my towel and wipe it down. Took a little more time, but you know what? We did it right, and it looks good. When you do something like this, make sure you do it right. I'm actually getting ready now to come and do this upper bevel area because you know what? I want to make sure the entire area of paint is protected, so don't be lazy. Make sure you get all of the parts buffed. It took just about 30 minutes to completely deoxidize this side, but look how much better it looks. Sadly, I don't think I'm gonna get much more use out of this polishing pad, and so I always budget at least 4 of these every time I go over my vehicle. You could get probably more time out of your pads if you avoid hitting these, because these just end up shredding it, and unfortunately I hit this every time I came across it and it just shredded up my pad. Now that I've completed the back, I'm actually gonna tackle the left side. Of course, this is gonna be a little easier because it is in the shade and I'm not worried about the sun beating down, drying up the product. So I'm gonna actually work in larger spaces or larger squares than I did on the back. It's time to roll on to the next section. I wanted to make sure you knew when you do something like this, just with the revolving pad, you're gonna get a lot of splatter. This stuff actually just wipes off really, really easily. Just be aware though, you're gonna have to go over this with a towel right afterward to clean it off, but you will have splatter almost everywhere. Now, I'm not gonna leave you hanging. I'm gonna be using some Car Guys hybrid wax on this, and they actually recommend working in 2 feet by 2 feet increments. That's what we're gonna do. Spray on, wipe off. They do include a little towel or chamois to wipe it off. Let's get started. Spray on, and just wipe off. This is applying that hybrid wax that's gonna end up protecting your paint. That's really all the buffing and polishing we're going to show in this video. Now I just want to talk about the process a little bit. I started out utilizing these pads, and these are just generic pads that came with the buffer. And although they did a good job on parts, I did notice that part of the RV was still oxidized. I had to use something better. That's when I switched over to this cutting pad. It just did a better job getting through that layer of oxidation. Although these pads did a good job sort of polishing, I didn't see the shine that I wanted in some of the areas, and this cutter pad did a great job. I am gonna link these below in the description just so you can see what I used. Also, this is completely possible to be done without using an orbital buffer, but this made it go by so easy. My total time for the entire process, including going back and waxing it, was about 2 hours, which in my opinion was pretty good, especially since I was quoted $1,000 to have a company do this for me. Let's go over the materials that I utilized for the whole process. You might have remembered earlier in the video, I showed a blue bottle, and it's the exact same stuff, but I ran out halfway through, and so I had to order a new one, and they just now ship them in these black bottles. But it is the Meguiar's one-step compound. Make sure it says M67. As you can see in the video, I did utilize a lot of the solution. I really wanted to make sure I polished that oxidation right out, and this stuff does a great job. Then for the wax part, I ended up using this Car Guys hybrid wax. Now, this entire bottle is completely empty now. I used it in just one application on my RV. My recommendation is if your RV or vehicle is bigger or you just want more, order more of this, because I did utilize the very last drop on the very last spot of the RV, and so, well, I'll have to order some more for next time. Anyway, that was my full review where we removed the oxidation from the RV and then waxed it. If any of this stuff is of interest to you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review where we removed the oxidation from our camper. You know what? Not that long ago, I actually got a large scratch in my RV, and I used a product called Scratch Off to remove it, and it made it completely invisible. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna link that review right up here, and I would love it if you would click on this link. And by the magic of the internet, I'm gonna join you at that review. So go ahead, click it. It's safe, I promise.